Okay, Shalom Lakam Yasharallah. Today we're in the 6th Aliyah of Parashah Lech Lecha, which we find in Genesis chapter 15, verse 7 through Genesis chapter 17, verse 6, going over the curse that we're going to see. And then we're going into our own, our family roots as the children of Yasharallah. So we want to make sure you understand that the way we teach and the way we see the scriptures is that the blacks, Latinos, and the Hispanics in North, Central, South America, and the Caribbean is the primary location of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. That the Most High Power, Yahweh, and his son, Yahushua HaMashiach, are all brown-skinned people. That the angels are brown-skinned. That the so-called white man in America is the nation of Edom that the Bible talks about, who the Most High says in Romans 9 and in the book of Malachi chapter 1, that he hates Esau and he loves Jacob. And you so-called Israelites out there of Black, Hispanic, Native American, Latino descent in North, Central, South America, and the Caribbean, and scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, you have to return back to your commandments and your laws that were given to you by Yahweh, and you have to turn back to Yahushua, which is the Messiah and the Savior of Israel. And if you don't do that, then you will be destroyed and you will perish forever. And the Most High will not have mercy on you once you kick the bucket and your life is over. All right, so make sure everybody understands that. All right, so this is your brother coming to you, Parashah Yasharallah, with Masharah Yasharallah, the government of Israel, also with Banya Yasharallah, the children of Israel. All right, and my primary purpose in talking to you is to get you to repent of your sins and come back to your Messiah, Yahushua, your God, Yahweh, your power, Yahweh, into your constitution, your laws found inside of the Torah. And I have many videos. And you can inbox me. I have printed material also to explain to you the laws and the commandments that we're supposed to be keeping outside of Jerusalem. All right. So you have to get with me. I get the information to you. All right. So we're going to go ahead and start in Genesis chapter 15, verse 7. All right. Now we're talking with Abraham, and the Most High is talking to him, letting him know what he's going to do for him. And he said, and Yahweh said unto him, I am Yahweh, who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldees, okay, to give you the land, this land to possess. So the Most High is going to give Yahweh that land of ancient Canaan. It didn't belong to Yahweh. The earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. And he take from whoever he want to take, and he give to whomever he wants to give. So he gave that land to the children of Yasharallah, even though the Canaanites were still in that land. All right, verse 8. And he said, Adanya Yahweh, by what shall I know I will possess it? So Abraham said, I'm going to know him to get this land. So he said to him, bring me a heifer, 3 years old, and a female goat, 3 years old, and a ram, 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. So he got 3-year-old animals and a pigeon, one pigeon and a turtle dove. All right. So he's about to do a sacrifice. And he brought to him all these and cut into them down the middle and placed each piece opposite the other. But the birds not he did cut in two. So he says that he had the animals, he cut them and put them on the left and the right sides. Okay? Now check this out. Now this represents a sacrifice, the gift, the offering to the Most High. What the Most High is doing with Abraham, like a sacrifice, but he meant it for good. Now look what happens. Then came down the vultures on the carcasses and drave away them Abram. All right, so the vultures came down these buzzards, birds of prey, came down on that food, on that meat, and Abraham had to drive them off. All right. So our carcasses lay in America. This is going into Deuteronomy chapter 28, which says that our carcasses are going to lay on the ground and from trees, and there's not going to be nobody that's going to be able to blow them away or drive them off of us. All right. So we lost that connection to Abraham, and we lost that connection to care about and love each other. There's nobody that was around to drive those animals away from us during slavery, during the conquest of the Americas. All right, the indigenous peoples in Peru, in America, North America, in Brazil, they were killed, they were murdered by the Portuguese, the Spanish, the British that came into these lands, and there was nobody to help us. All right. Now let's go into verse 12. All right. And when the sun was going down, now you see that? The Shamash. Okay. So when the sun was going down, then a deep sleep fell upon Abram. Now remember, it says deep sleep, trance. Okay. And then when we go into Genesis, about Adam, when a deep sleep fell on him, is that the same word? Is that the same word in Genesis chapter 3? All right. So let's go ahead. All right, I'm having some technical difficulty, I guess. Let's go into Genesis chapter 3 real quick. Actually, Salaklia, Genesis chapter 2. Okay. Going down. Genesis 2. You see the Most High says he called a deep sleep. See that? Same word. Okay. Same word. So the Most High caused a deep sleep to come upon Adam, all right, which is with Adam or with Adamah, but with Adam, so without Adam. So the Most High called a deep sleep like a trance. Same thing we see happen with Adam. So now we know something major that we cannot escape is about to happen. The Most High is about to show Adam something deep. Now the Most High is also about to show Abraham something deep. When we go back to Genesis chapter 15. All right. Now this is verse 12. So this is Ramah, okay, which is from with Adam. Daradama, that's how you probably would say that. They got where Tadema. All right. So this deep sleep, the Most High is putting on Abraham to show him what? A deep sleep fell upon Abram. All right. And remember his name is Abram, which means high father, because his fathers, they prophesied upon him, and they knew that he was going to become a great man and become a father of many nations, many people. So a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and behold, terror and darkness great fell upon him. Now, this terror and darkness that fell upon Abram, he's seeing all the slavery, the slaughter, the captivity, the maiming, right? The decapitation, the rape. He's seeing the whole darkness and the terror of our experiences that happened upon Daniel's time, that happened upon Jeremiah's time, that happened in the time of Yahushua HaMashiach, which is the black man that died for our sins. Abraham is seeing all of this darkness and all of this terror. He's seeing all the terror and darkness that's going to come upon our people. He feels it, and he sees the vision of it. Now, why is this happening? This is happening because Adam and Eve decided to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And nobody's paid for that yet. So the people that's going to come from Abram, they are the ones that's going to be put back into that rulership of the whole entire earth. But in order for us to get that rulership back, we have to take on all of the terror and all of the darkness as a nation that came upon Adam when he ate that fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. So now the evil has to happen to us also. So we have to experience the negative side now. So we have to go through our own trials and tribulations as a nation and walk through that temptation. Acceptable men are tried in the furnace of adversity. So the adversity is going to come upon us as a nation. And that's why Black people, Hispanic, Latino, and Native peoples in the Americas were totally slaughtered, transported, conquered, and raped for literally hundreds of years. From India, it began in the 600s. They took us to slavery in India in the 600s. Then they took us in slavery into Sri Lanka. And then they started taking us into slavery into Iraq and Iran. And then 800 years later, they began to take us in slavery in the Americas. First, they put the indigenous peoples in slavery and brought them to Spain, brought them across the waters. And then they went into more the coastal areas, right? And then the Portuguese started with a major slave trade, all right, in the east coast of Brazil. So this is all of the darkness that Abraham is seeing right now. Slavery was a major oppressive and wicked and evil and dark and terrible thing that happened to our people. And that's what Abraham's seeing in his vision right now. All right. So the Most High tells Abraham, he said to Abram, surely know that strangers will be your descendants, or your seed will be strangers in a land not theirs. Okay. So Egypt does not belong to us. America was not our homeland. We came here to Central America, South America, North America, but it's not our homeland. All right. So they're going to be descendants. They're going to be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and serve will them. All right. It says, why ibadwan, and they will serve. All right. And they will afflict them 400 years. So this 400 years is starting in the year 2019, ending in the year 2019, starting in the year 1619, when we first came into modern Egypt, the land of the north, the land that we're supposed to be delivered from. 400 years, 1619 to 1719, 17 to 18, 18 to 19, and then 19 to 20. All right, 16 to 17, 17 to 18, 18 to 19, and then 1919 until 2019. That's 400 years. So those 400 years, we're going to be afflicted and we're going to be serving. All right. Now, I know a lot of people say we're talking about Egypt, but in Exodus 12 and 40, it says that we were in the land of Canaan and in the land of Egypt for 430 years. All right. The Septuagint Bible and the oldest Hebrew Bible, which is the Samaritan Bible, says that our fathers were in the land of Canaan and the children of Israel in the land of Canaan and the land of Egypt for 430 years. All right. So that's what that's talking about. This 400 years is talking about from when we came into the most evil empire that's upon the earth now. He's talking about America. All right. Let's go into verse 14. But the nation whom they serve judge will I. So I will judge, and afterward they shall come out with possessions great. A lot of people say, well, that's talking about Egypt. Yeah, we came out of Egypt with possessions, and we came out of Babylon with possessions too. Remember, the king said, here, take what you need. Gave us blank checks to buy anything that we need to come out of that captivity. All right. So they were, he furnished us also. All right. So now it says we're going to come up out of that captivity. We're going to have great possessions. The Most High is going to judge that nation. And he said afterwards, they're going to come out and we're going to have great possession. But when you look at what happened with Egypt, the Most High didn't finish. This says he's going to judge and afterward. All right. It says, even though Khan means yes and therefore, or in Khan, all right, they shall come out. All right. And it says that we're going to have possessions. All right. Great possessions. So when we came out of Egypt, we had a lot, but the Most High finished his judgment once they fully came out and tried to chase behind us. We was already out when the judgment came. In this sequence, the judgment happens and then we come out. But the judgment for Egypt, some judgment happened with the plagues, and then we left out of Egypt, and then the Most High destroyed the armies of Egypt. So they were left defenseless, which is one, that's a hard judgment. Now, verse 15, and as for you, you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried at an old age good. So you're going to die good and old. So don't worry. This vision you saw, you're not going to experience that. So the Most High is saying that this thing is so bad, what happened to us in slavery. He said, Abraham, don't worry about the vision you saw personally. It's not going to happen to you. All right. Now look what he said right here. Verse 16. But in the generation fourth, they shall return here into the land of Canaan. For not complete, okay, is the iniquity of the Amorites yet here. So when the Most High talk about the iniquity of the Amorites were some wicked people in the land of Canaan, engaged in all sorts of Leviticus chapter 18 type of offenses. A lot of sexual sins. So that's what they were doing. Bestiality, incest, adulteries, homosexualities, various fornications. And the Most High said, I'm going to judge these people for what they're doing. So he judged them. But he was waiting for their judgment to be full, because they had to max out on their evil. Then he's going to come and judge them. Now he said the fourth generation, he's going to return, that we're going to return, that they are going to return. The children of Yasha'Allah are going to return into. So who's he talking about? He's talking about the children of Yasha'Allah shall return as a nation into the land of Canaan in the fourth generation. So how do we know the generations? Well, Levi came down there. We're given the genealogy of Levi. Then after Levi, he had Kohath. Then Kohath had Amram. And then Amram had Moses. That's four generations. So Moses, Miriam, Aaron, Joshua, and Caleb, those are all part of that fourth generation that left. Now, Miriam and Aaron and Moses, for that matter, all died in the wilderness. But Joshua and Caleb and all the generation that was with them, all the people that were with them and younger, everybody that was like 59 years old and younger. All right, 59, because we walked in the wilderness for 40 years. And then the Most High said anybody that's 20 years old, all the soldier men of that age and over are going to die, which means anybody that was 19 didn't die. So 19 plus 40 is 59. So that's who came back. That's the fourth generation that came into. Now, that's what he said. He said they shall return here. All right, so we're going to return back to that land after the Amorites got into the fullness of their wickedness, and the Most High brought us into the land of Israel. All right, so now let's go on to verse 17. And it came to pass when the sun went down and dark it was, that behold, there appeared a fire pot. Some people say furnace, a fire pot smoking, and a torch burning that passed between the pieces these. All right, so the pieces, the torch and the burning up and down was going between the pieces of the animal. And once again, that's going into that furnace of affliction. That's going into that judgment that's going to come upon the children of Yasharallah. That's going upon the evil and the wickedness that was going to happen to us as a nation of people. All right. So now verse 18. On day that made Yahweh with Abram a covenant. So Yahweh made a covenant. Bayawam Hahaza'ah. It says karath, which means to write. So cut. It also can katab or to write, to cut out. So he cut a covenant. All right. So it says karath Yahweh ath abaram barayath. So he made a barayath again with Abram. La Amar, saying, La Zarika, to your children, La Zarika, Natatya, I have given At Aratza Haza'at. I've given this land. Now listen what this says. It says, Ma Nahar Matazarium, from the river of Egypt, which is the Nile. Aid HaNahar HaGadal Nahar, to the river, the great river, Parat, Euphrates. So everything from the Nile River all the way to the Euphrates River is the land that Yahweh gave to the children of Yasharallah. So the whole Persian Gulf region, the whole Sinai Peninsula, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, okay, United Arab Emirates, okay, Egypt, parts of Ethiopia, parts of Sudan, that all belongs to the children of Israel. That's all our land. That's all our land. All right. Now, remember now, some of the Gentile nations that came from Abraham, the Arabs, Ishmael, so on and so forth, they occupy some of that land now also. All right. Now, so from the Nile to the Euphrates is our land. All right. Now, verse 19. The Kenites and the Kenizzites and the Cadmonites and the Hittite and the Perizzite and the Raphaites and the Amorite and the Canaanite and the Girgashites and the Jebusite. So he's saying that all that land belongs to us, but those are the people that were in that land of Canaan at that time. So that's the end of chapter 15, and this is part of our covenant. So I would say, Kalashara debari Yahweh na isha wa na shami. All that Yahweh has said will we do and hear. So now we go into Genesis chapter 16, and now the story starts to pick up with the genealogy part, right, which is the family tree part. The first part, that was the curse that came upon us. Now we're going to read about the blessing of the genealogy that's coming out of Abraham's loins. All right. Now it says, and Shariah Ashath Abaram, and Sarah, the wife of Abraham, had born Lawa to him, so she didn't have no children. All right. La'a Yaladah. La'a or Lo Yaledah. Okay. La'a Yaladah. She didn't have Lawa, any children for him. And she had a maidservant an Egyptianess, okay, Matazadiath, okay, Matazadiath, an Egyptianess, and her name was Hagar. Hagar. Now, Hagar was a handmaid, all right? Now, if you look at this word, it says shop or sip ha, but it says shop ha. Now, this is this. If you put a ma on the front of this, you have mashpakah. Okay, so that which is or pertaining to the family, mashpakah. But it's interesting. I always thought it was interesting that the word for maidservant was one letter off for the word of for family. Mash, it would be mash, then it would be mash, and then pa, and then cha, C-H-A-A. All right. So that's just a little trivial thing. It means something. I got to study what it means, though. So says Shadayah to Abaram, Hana, behold, Na'ah, behold now, has restrained me Yahweh from bearing children. Go in, Ba'ah. All right, go in, go in or come, please, to my maidservant. All right. Perhaps I shall obtain, Abana, perhaps I shall obtain or build by her, and indeed Abram, and heeded or listened to or obeyed, listen to Abram, the voice of Shadayah. So Abraham listened when he said, basically, go lay with my handmaiden, so you can have children with her, all right? And I can have children that way because she belongs to me, so everything that's hers is mine. So if she has a baby, that baby is really belong to me, so she's having a baby for you, but when she has that baby for you, the baby actually belongs to me like she does. And this is what we see, a lot of people may have read about Lamech in Genesis and said, well, he had two wives. He was Cain's son. He's wicked. But now we have Shadayah, who's righteous, telling Abraham to have a baby with my maidservant, which was not uncommon in the time of Shadayah and Abraham. All right. So this is what people may call polygyny, but in the Bible, it's just called marriage. All right. Now listen what it says. So it says, so that's something that's normal, that's something that's righteous, it's not to be frowned upon, it's something to be shamed about. A man can have more than one wife. A man can have children righteously with more than one woman. So Genesis 16:3 says this, and took Shadayah, wife of Abraham, Hagar, the Egyptian, her maidservant, after 10 years had dwelt Abraham in the land of Canaan. And she gave her to Abram, her husband, to be his wife. Now, this is why I want to make a distinction. So Sarah gave Hagar to Abraham, our father Abram. All right. Now, Abraham took her. She became his wife. So even though she was you can say Payalagash, which is not in this text, but even though she was a concubine, she was still a Asha. She was still his wife. Okay? She was still his wife. Even though she was, a different type of wife, Payalagash, she was still a wife. A lot of people say, well, concubine and wife is different. There's differences from a concubine and a woman that's not a concubine, but both of them are wives. Both of them are Asha. Okay? So went into Hagar. So he went into Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, then became despised her mistress in her eyes. So Hagar got pregnant with the seed of Abram. So Abraham went inside of her, and he went into Hagar. So he fertilized her eggs, put his energy, his seed inside of her, and She got pregnant, the heart. Right? So she got pregnant. And then when she got pregnant, she started to be disrespectful or despised or act trifling, as scriptures say, toward her Gabarath. Okay? You see that? Gabarath, Gabarath, and then Ha, which means her. Okay? So Gabarath is a word that means, Gabad means strong man. And Gabarath means strong woman. So the Gabarath is the strong woman of the household, which is, we see, the first wife of the Lord of the house. Abraham is the sheikh. He's the king. We've been saying this throughout the whole studies. Abraham is the leader over more than 318 soldiers, plus regular men and women and children that's a part of his household. And Shadayah is the Gabarath. She's the Gabarath, meaning she's the head woman in charge. All right. So that's something that we have to look at culturally also. A lot of people say, well, there's no such thing as a first wife or a second wife and a third wife. Well, here we see that this woman, Shadayah, is called the Gabarath. And then Hagar is just called the regular. She's called Asha, which is the woman. But Shadayah is the Asha, but she's also the Gabarath. Okay? Or you could say Gabarath. Okay? So basically, Hagar started to get real fly and disrespectful toward Shadayah once she got pregnant. Her mood changed, and the negativity that was in her got manifested and became excessive and inflated. And Shadayah, she didn't take too kindly to that. All right? And said Shadayah to Abraham, my wrong be upon you. I gave my maidservant into your embrace, and when she saw that she had conceived, then I became despised in her eyes. So she said, I was, this is all my fault. All right? This is all my fault. My wrong be upon you. So the thing that I did wrong, it's affected you now. Because now you got to step in and figure out how we're going to handle this thing. And we're going to see Abram's response to that. So she says, since she got pregnant, all right, okay, Harath, since she got pregnant, I became despised, all right, in her eyes, okay. Now this is right here, this word right here. Let's go into this. It looked like the root is kolal, which actually is a word that's used in the scriptures for curse a lot of times too. You can see it down here. All right, cursed, cursed, cursed. All right, so it's used to say curse also. Kolal. That's the root word. It's kolal. They don't have it right here, but do it have it right there? No, they don't have it right there either. The root word is kolal, which means actually cursed in her eyes. So then she said, may he judge, may Yahweh judge between me and you. All right. So he said, man, may the Most High work this thing out. All right. So said Abram to Shadayah, indeed, behold, she's your maidservant in your hand. Do to her what is good in your eyes. All right. So she said, whatever you think you need to do with her, go ahead and deal with it. All right. So now it says, Wata ina, meaning she humbled her. She oppressed her and pushed her down, so she came down hard on her, which is what ina or aina means to humble. So she humbled her spirit. She put her in check. She let her see what was what. So she humbled her, Shadayah, and she fled from her presence. And Hagar ran away. Now remember, in our laws that we got later on through Mashah, once the woman ran away, or once the man ran away, once the servant ran away, they couldn't be returned. If that's the case in this political social construct in ancient African territories, ancient Shemitic territories, we don't know. We have to really look that thing up. So now in verse 7, and found her the messenger, Mala'ak, okay, and found her the messenger or angel of Yahweh by a spring, Iyan, all right, by a spring of water, by Madbar, in the wilderness, by the spring, by the way to Shawar, all right, or yeah, Shawar. Now remember, between Shawar and Bethel is where Abraham has set up, all right. So I think Shawar is south, so she went south from where they were at. So she left and she ran with this, and she ran. She don't got no baby yet, but she's pregnant. So this pregnant woman is leaving. Now she might have left with some stuff and had some people under her that went with her too. All right, maybe. And said Hagar, servant or the handmaid of Shadayah, Ayah, okay, which is where from have you come? Where have you come from? And where are you going? So the angel's asking her, and he said Hagar, servant of Shadayah. So he's addressing her by her possession of Shadayah, that Shadayah possesses her. Look, Mashkath or Shapkath, excuse me. He said, look, Hagar, Shapkath Shadayah, Hagar, handmaid or servant of Shadayah. Meaning what? He letting her see your identity is with this woman. Your identity, you attached to Shadayah. You got a mission to complete. You belong to her. You can't just get up and run, you know, because she was wrong for the first time when she started to get hateful and spiteful towards Shadayah. All right. And he said, so the angel said, Hagar, Shabkat Shadayah, Hagar, maid servant of Shadayah. All right. Where you coming from and where you going? And she said, from the face or from the presence of Shadayah, my mistress, my lady. All right. So it says Gabarath Yah. So she's still saying, hey, that's my mistress, but I couldn't take her punishment. Like that thing Cain said, the punishment is more than I could bear. And then she said, I am fleeing. Okay. She said, Anak Yah Garakath. Okay. Anak Yah Barakath. I am fleeing from her. All right. And said to her, the messenger of the angel of Yahweh, return, Shawabiyah, return to your lady. All right. Gabarathka, return to your mistress, your lady. And humble yourself. Wahata inaya. And humble yourself. Lower yourself under her hand. All right. Takath yadiyaha. Humble yourself under her hands. All right. So he said, go back and just humble yourself. So that's what we got to learn. When we out of order, when you women are out of order with your head, instead of trying to run away, going to do something that you're not supposed to be doing, taking a route that's not righteous, obey the instruction that the angel gave to Hagar concerning another woman, which was what? Go back to her and humble yourself under her hand. That same thing that you women have to do a lot of times. Go back and humble yourself under your man's hand. And sometimes you brother, you might need to go back and humble yourself under your captain, or under your elder, or under your officer, or even under your judge. All right. And said to her the angel of Yahweh, exceedingly I will multiply your descendants. Okay, so that not they shall be counted for multitude. So the angel is saying this baby that Hagar is pregnant with, that he's going to make that baby a great, great number of people, which we know as Ishmael, which is the father of a lot of the so-called Arab nations over there. All right. And said to her the angel of Yahweh, behold, you have conceived and shall bear a son, and you shall call his name Yashami Allah. Okay. Now in this Yashami Allah or Yashamai Allah, we see number one, it means he is heard. Yah means he, and then Shami means to hear, and then Allah means the power. Now with this, we see Yashami. In their religion, the Arab religion, which is Islam, we see a Shamai, a hearing. When do they do this in their religion? A call to prayer. So they do the call to prayer 5 times a day. That's one of the tenets of the religion that they created, Ishmael created, not Ishmael, but Muhammad created, called Islam. Okay. So it says what? It says he is hearing, or he is heard. And that's why in their religion, they got the minaret that go up there and they call the people to prayer. That's part of their religion. Now, that's part of Ishmael's name is Allah, which is the name that Muhammad and the Arabs, that they call the Most High God, Yahweh. So they call him Allah, and they got the call to prayer right here. He is heard. Okay, Yashemai. I think they might even say that in the definition. Yeah, God will hear. He is heard of God. God will hear. All right. 4, has listened Yahweh to your affliction. So Yahweh has heard your affliction. Now that goes into a religion. So you had the conflict between this first wife and then the second wife that was a handmaid. And in Islam now, the woman has a say-so in that religion when a man takes on another wife. So check that out. So Yahweh has heard your affliction, meaning what? The Dainayaka, meaning the humbling that happened to you when you were afflicted by Shariah. Go to verse 12, talking about Ishmael. And he shall be a wild man. Para'an. Okay. Which means it's an ass or a donkey. So he should be a wild donkey of a man. That's going into strength. That's going into resilience. It's also going into a lot of the brutality and defense tactics that donkeys use. Donkeys watch a flock better than dogs because their kicks are ferocious and deadly. Certain animals won't even mess with a donkey. All right. But he said of a man. All right. So it's going to be, of a man, a wild ass of a man, or you could say a donkey of a man. All right. So there's a lot of aspects that we can get into, about that particular reading, dealing with Ishmael and Abram. So Ishmael, he is going to like to be in the wilderness area. Okay? Wilderness area. Because donkeys, they dwell in the wilderness areas. Little groups and everything. They might get up and go someplace else. All right. So there's also getting into, how they socialized. Now, the next part says, now this gets back into the religion. It says, Yadwa, his hand, in all. His hand's going to be in all. and in every hand, okay, bawa is going to be at him. So anyway, it's saying that his hand is going to be against every man. Every man's hand is going to be against him. Once again, we see that the Arabs have as a part of their religion something that teaches you that we must go against every man through what? It's called a jihad, which is a war. It's called a jihad, which is a holy war, an act of aggression and uprising against any person that's not what? Against any man that's not a Muslim. Specifically going into a Sunni Muslim, because the Shiites are going to break away from and have a major conflict with the Sunni. All right. So this says that his hand is going to be against every other man. That's his religious doctrine that teaches that one day a war is going to break out between their religion and the followers of any other religion. All right. It says Wa'il, and over and over the presence of all his brothers he shall dwell. So he's going to excel. And that's what he's doing with the oil in that Middle East. He's in the same region he was historically. He haven't had to move out, and he got the resources right there. All right. Especially when you go into Dubai with everybody that's a natural born citizen of the ancient people of that land is filthy rich, where they got to import servants to come over there to work for them. All right. Abu Dhabi and Dubai, all right, and Qatar. They got to bring people over there to work for them because nobody over there wants to do any type of labor because they are so rich. And that's how ancient Israel was. That's how it was in ancient Israel. That's how it's going to be again. All right. In verse 13, and she called the name of Yahweh who spoke to her, you are the God who sees me. So she said, Allah Ra'ya. So Ata Ra'ya. Okay. For she said also, here have I seen the back of him who sees me. Okay. So she said that's what she's going to call that place. All right. El Roi. Upon this was called the well. Okay, the well. It was called from, all right, Bard, which means well. We got a well, which is Ba'ir or Ba'ar. It's called the Ba'ar or the well of Lachaya Ra'aya. Lachaya, which means life. All right, to life has seen me. All right. Now it says, behold, it is between Kadesh and Bared. So it's an ancient well that still can be probably found in that area. Now verse 15. So bore Hagar Abram a son, and Abram named his son, whom had born Hagar, Yashmi Allah, called his name Ishmael, which is the father of a lot of the Arab nations over there, especially the ones that are rich, the ones that got the oil in their country, the ones that have expensive cars and that have silver and gold and all types of precious metal and stones throughout their houses. All right. So it calls his name Yashmayallah based on what the angel talked to her about naming the baby. All right. And Abram was a son of 86 years. So he was 86 years old when bore Hagar Ishmael to Abram. So Abraham was remember, Abraham lived like 190 something years, I believe. Let me look that up real quick. Let's look that up. So he was 99 when Isaac was born. So I'm going to get back with you on how old Abraham was when he passed away. I believe it was like 125 maybe 195. Well, we know when Isaac was born, he was 199. All right. He was 99 when he was 175. Because we know he was 140, around 140 years old when Isaac was born. I mean, when Isaac got married, when Isaac was 40 years old, and Abraham was still alive. So that would have to be, when he got so he had to be over 140 years old, all right, when Isaac was born, all right. So he was 175 years old when he died. So at this age right here, the average lifespan now, let's say 70, 74 years old. And here we see Abraham is 83, roughly. I think it said that he was 86 years old. So he was in the middle of his life. So he was like 35 years old, as far as life expectancy goes. He wasn't even at the halfway mark yet of his life, right? His life halfway mark would have been like 87 or 88, because 88 plus 88 is 176. All right, so he was just toward the life, the halfway mark. Okay, so now Ishmael, Yashmai Allah, he had the son, and Abram was old, was the son of 80 years and 6 years when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. Okay, so Abraham was 86 years old. All right, so now we see Abraham, the father of the so-called Arabs. He's a wild man. Give me a second. Let's go into, this is chapter 16. Now we're going to chapter 17, and we're going to stop at verse 6. Kind of flew through this. It's been less than an hour. Now, when we do the Torah portion for the whole Torah, we can't go into each section like this. Right? But this is pretty good. We went over, almost a whole chapter, then another whole chapter, then a couple of verses in less than an hour. All right. So, and we're going into a lot of good understanding too. All right. So now, so go ahead and do some research on the donkeys in the Middle East. Okay. And you'll see how, link that up to the Arabs and to the Ishmaelites that are over there. Now, chapter 17, verse 1, it says, I think what I want to start doing, I'm going to start reading like verse in Hebrew. Now remember that the wild donkeys are mainly found in North Africa, and then you can go into parts of Somalia, and then all into the Arabian Peninsula. And what is the area that, going back to Ishmael, what's the area that Ishmael occupies now? The Middle East over by the Arabian Peninsula and the North Africa. All right, all up along North Africa. And then when you get into Somalia, they conquered over there too. That's how Somalians became Muslim. All right. And over in Sudan, they occupy Sudan also. All right. So you see that when they talk about he's going to be a wild ass of a man, this is going into the habitation that he's going to have. And he's also found, once again, in those desert regions over there. Let us see that Ishmael's going to like to hang out into the in the deserts and stuff. Okay. So you gotta look at that. All right. So he's all in that territory over there. All right. So the same ancient territory of these ashes, he's in that territory right now. All right. He's in that territory right now. You know, North Africa, the Arabian Peninsula, and then going into the eastern part of the northern part of the eastern parts of Africa. Okay. So getting into that donkey, you know, and that's also getting into, you know, once again, his territory, and also that violence that he's going to have. Every man's hand is going to be, you know, against him, you know, but nobody want to mess with him. Like nobody want to go up in the wilderness and try to get no wild donkeys. Okay. So that's something we have to look at. Now, it says, Wa Yahaya Abaram Ban Tashayim Shana Wa Tashayi Shanayim. All right. Wa Yara'a Yahawa Al Abaram Wa Ya'mar Al Yawa Anya Allah Shadya Hata Halak Lapanya Wa Haya Damayim. All right. So be complete and whole. All right. So, and when Abraham was 90 years old, 99 years old, Yahweh came to him. So Yahweh appeared to him and said, I am Allah Shadya. Walk before me, meaning walk before my face. Walk in my glory. Walk in my structure. Walk in my ways. Walk in righteousness before me and be blameless. So be complete, be whole, be totally for what I'm showing you and what I want you to do. And I will make my covenant between me and you and will multiply you exceedingly greatly. So now you're saying, remember, you got more coming. I'm going to keep on multiplying you. Okay. And I'm going to make a covenant with you. Verse 3. And fell Abraham on his face and talked with him Alahayim, saying, so Abraham bowed down. He humbled himself. All right. Abraham said in the multi Alahayim, all right, kept talking to him, saying, as for me, behold, my covenant is with you, and you shall be a father of many nations. Now remember, the so-called white man, the countries from Jamaica all the way to Argentina, those are all the children of Abraham. The Arabs, the Middle Eastern countries, those are all the children of Abraham. All right. And no shall be called longer, moreover, which is moreover. And no shall be called longer your name, Abaram, Father High. And shall be, or but shall be, your name, Abba Raham, which means father of many, father of a multitude. Okay? For a father of many nations I have made you. Okay? I made you a father of many nations. All right? Abba Raham. Ha Mawan. All right? And I will make fruitful you exceedingly greatly. I will make nations of you and kings from you. Okay. shall come out. So he's saying that now the King of Kings, this is also going into the King of Kings, Yahushua, is going to come out of the loins of Abram, Abadam. So now we see right here that Yahushua is actually being prophesied from the loins of Abraham. All right. We see that the kings of the earth going into the children of Amalek out of Esau's line is being prophesied. King David, King Solomon. So if there's any king to mention that comes out of the Shem's family, you know, long-term effect is going to be you. It's going to be Abram. That's going to be the father. So, but Yahushua, which is the main king that is talking about in this prophecy. Okay. So that's pretty much it for this Torah reading. We stop at chapter 17, verse 6. All right. So now remember, this covenant is being made, and after that, we're going to get into what is the token of this covenant that the Most High just told him he was going to make with him. Okay, what is the token of that covenant? And we're going to go into circumcision. And who is circumcision for? Now remember, Abraham got a whole bunch of Gentiles with him still. He got a lot of Egyptians as part of his household, and he having babies by one of the Egyptian women, which is Hagar. Right, so we're going to review that next week. So when the sun comes up for the Shabbat, we're going to go over this whole parasha. We're going to the whole parasha, which is the whole Torah portion, right? The whole Torah portion, which is going to be Genesis chapter 12, verse 1 through Genesis chapter 17, verse 26. All right. So I don't really want to go into that seventh portion right now, even though it's about 20 verses, getting into Isaac and Ishmael and the little beef that they had. And, well, not Isaac yet, but get into, that's going to be the next chapter, but get into Ishmael and the circumcision, being a great nation. Then the prophecy about Isaac is going to go into also. All right. Now remember that this is when the Most High is going to come down and going to be talking with them. What I can try to do, though, it's an hour. I can try to go into chapter 16, chapter 15, chapter 17, chapter 17, Genesis chapter 17. I can try to go into the seventh portion, which is verse 7 through 27. Kind of breeze through it topically real quick. 27 is the last verse right here. We can start in verse 7. All right, so let's kind of flow through this real quick. Okay, and I will establish my covenant between me and you and your seed, your descendants after you in their generations, which means forever. For a covenant everlasting, like we just said, to be to you, Alahayim, and your descendants after you. So if we walk in the ways of Abraham, the Most High would treat us like he treated Abraham. If we walk in the ways of Cain, the Most High going to treat us like he treated Cain. So it's according to the way that we walk like our Father. That determines how we're going to get treated. Okay? Now verse 8. And I give to you and your descendants after you the land in which you are a stranger, all the land of Canaan, as a possession everlasting, and I will be there, Alahayim. Remember, he said you're going to make a great nation of Abraham's descendants. Remember, he told Ishmael that also. So Ishmael, the so-called white man, which is Esau, and Jacob, which is us, the blacks, Hispanics, and natives in North, Central, South America, and the Caribbean. We are all the people that can occupy that land over there. Verse 9, and said Elohim to Abram, and as for you, my covenant you shall keep, you and your descendants after you, throughout their generations. So this thing he's about to say is part of the agreement that you're going to have to keep forever. Now remember, so far we've seen covenants, but we've seen we haven't really seen a lot of responsibilities on the human side. We just seen blessings from Yahweh. That's about to change now. Genesis 17:10. This is my covenant which you shall keep between me and you and your seed after you. Shall be circumcised, which is ha-mawal, which means to be kind of like it actually means to go in like a circle, or let's say circumcised, to be, has to be cut. Let's go into the root of that real quick. Okay. Circumcised. Remember, circumcised means to cut around. That's what the word actually means. It means to cut around. That's what the word. That's what the word itself, cut off. Anyway, let's go back. All right. Shall be circumcised among you every male child, which is zakar. So anything, all right, or zakara, has to be circumcised. Every male, human male, all right. And you shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. Okay. And old, when he is 8 days, shall be circumcised among you every male child. Okay, so when the baby is 8 days old, all right, so on that after that 7th period of darkness, from when the baby's first born, you have to count it like that. You have to circumcise the baby. So if the baby's born in the afternoon, all right, that nighttime is the beginning of the first day. That nighttime is the end of the first day, beginning of the second. All right, so it has to be 8 days. So if the baby is born when it's dark outside or when it's light outside, when the next sunset comes, that previous sunset is the beginning of day 1. That next sunset is the beginning of day 2. So the next sunset after the baby is born is the beginning of day 2. All right. So when you have that 8th day, which is the 8th period of darkness, right? The 8th day, that baby has to be circumcised within that time frame. The baby boy. All right. Not the girls. We don't do a female genitalia circumcision. The male only gets circumcised in his flesh as a token of the covenant of the inheritance that Yahweh gave to our father, Abad Raham. His name just got changed to Abad Raham. All right. And he says, every male child in your generation, which means forever. Whenever you say in your generation, a lot of times it means forever, as long as there's people alive to do what I'm saying to do, who is born in your house, or check this out, or bought with money. All right, kasap, which is money or silver. All right, so when we bought servants, those servants became part of our house. So if it was a Gentile, an Edomite, an Arab, all right, an Elamite, a Hamite, they became part of our household, all right, or bought with money from any man who is a foreigner, who not your descendant is. So even if they not the descendants of Abraham, once they joined our household, they had to get circumcised as a token of the covenant. So the circumcision, so they in essence came into covenant as a servant, but nonetheless, they can reap the benefits of that physical covenant. That's why when we go into Ezekiel, Ezekiel talks about how some Gentiles are going to inherit, some ethnic Gentiles are going to inherit land in the land of Yasharallah. Nowhere, on the same level or the same social indications as our land, but they still going to, get a reward and get a blessing for blessing Abraham, for blessing Yahweh, for being upright, for coming into covenant, and for receiving the token of circumcision. So he says, must be circumcised he who is born in your house and he who is bought with your money. So he said again, and shall be my covenant in your flesh, for a covenant I will eternal or everlasting. So we have to get circumcised in our flesh. That's when they just cut like a little snippet off the tip of the male private part. A little bit of that skin was cut off. Nowadays, the circumcision that they do is a full. This is what you call a. Now they say bris milah. Okay, and I want to maybe I can try to get you some differences real quick. All right. So you got the bris milah, and you got the bris peria. Okay. Now the milah is the actual circumcision, removing the tip of the foreskin. Now the peria is something that happened, after the Greek time periods. Far as that's one of the theories of when it started, which mean they cut off the whole prepuce, meaning the whole skin around above the corona of the male member. They cut off all of the skin. All right. So the milah, it was snipped. The peria, all right, is when they started to cut off all of the skin around the foreskin. Okay, which they say that started around 140 AD. That's when they say it started around. Now you know that when you look in the book of Maccabees, remember in the book of Maccabees, it said that the men were making themselves recircumcised. Now, how did they do this? Because we had a little bit of skin left over. We had skin left over at the ancient Mayalah, the ancient Milah circumcision. And they would take that skin and they would tie weights that increased gradually as the skin got more stretched out. And then it would stretch the skin and it would start to cover the glands. Okay. The corona. So they would kind of uncircumcise themselves. All right. They would uncircumcise themselves by putting them weights, little small weights, maybe, 5 grams, 6 grams, 7 grams, all the way up, just going up and up and up in weight. And it just started to, because remember, our people wanted to be like the Greeks, and the Greeks were wrestling naked. So when you go into the first 3 chapters of First Maccabees, it tells you that our people were were making themselves uncircumcised, which was stretching out that skin. So as time went on, people said, well, you know what? Cut all the skin off. So they added to the law, but they thought they had a good reason, to do it that way. Okay. So the Most High is saying right here in verse 14, and the uncircumcised male child who not is circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, okay, of his foreskin, which is, they call this a irlath, the irlath, wa. So the irlath. So the irlath of the irlath, that is what's being cut. All right. So the man that still has his skin, what did it say? It says, and shall be cut off the soul, that soul from his people. For my covenant has he broken. So you're not circumcised. The Most High has cut you off from your people. So you have to be circumcised. Tienen que recibir la circuncisión of the flesh and of the heart, de la carne y también del corazón. Okay? Verse 15. And said Yahweh to Abraham, or Abraham. So anybody, let's go back to the circumcision real quick. If you don't get circumcised, you've broken the covenant. If you're Israelite, child of Abraham, walking in the Torah, believing in Yahweh Shai, you have to get that circumcision of the flesh, which means nothing. Romans chapter 2, about verse 28. Go above and below that. Circumcision of the flesh doesn't mean nothing if your heart is not circumcised. Okay? So let's go to verse 16. And said Alahayim to Abraham, as for Shadayah, your wife, not you shall call her name Shadayah, but Shaddai is her name. So now her name is changed to Shaddai. So as the Most High blesses Abraham, he also blesses Shaddai. So she grows in she grows in the spectrum of what she's receiving, spiritually. Because now that blessing is going from her loins, from Abraham's seed, and she's putting that greatness from her spirit onto the children also. So it has to be a spiritual thing where a man and a woman are growing spiritually together in order for their children to be blessed and be on the spiritual level also. Okay? And I will bless her and also give by her you a son. So Sarah's going to get pregnant and have the son that she's been wanting. Okay? Then I will bless her, and she shall be called of nations. All right, so Lagoyim. Kings of people, Malakya Imyam, from her shall come. So a lot of the kings of the people are those women, those people that descended out of, from Isaac's family going down to Jacob. So Jacob, once again, we are a nation, and when you go into the book of Exodus 19 and 6, we are a nation of kings and priests. And fell Abraham on his face and laughed. Uh-oh. See the word laugh right here? And he laughed right there. Yatzakak. Now this word means Isaac. It means he, Yatzakak, laughs. Okay? So Abraham laughed and said in his heart, to a son of 100 years shall a child be born? He said, man, how am I have a baby? I'm 100 years old. And shall Shaddai, who is old 90 years, bear a child? And Sarah is going to have a baby and she's 10 years younger than me? How's she going to have a baby? And said Abraham to Alahayim, oh, that Ishmael might live before you. Meaning what? Man, let Ishmael be the one. I don't really see this happening. I don't really see me having a baby with Shaddai, or with Shaddai. She's old and them old. And said Alahayim, Abal. So he said, truly, that word Abal, surely, howbeit, contrawise, nay, rather. All right? Like for real, okay? opposite to what you just said, Sarah, your wife, shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Yatzakak, which means he laughs. Right, coming back from up here when he laughed, and he laughed. So the baby's name was changed too. The baby's name is going to be called baby name is going to be called he laughs. Call his name Yatzakak, which means Isaac. He laughs. He laughs. See that? Okay. Wakwamtaya. And I will set up, I will raise, I will raise my covenant, I will establish my covenant with him for a covenant everlasting for his descendants after him. All right. So he had two descendants, Ishmael and Jacob. Jacob and Esau, verse 20. And as for Ishmael, I have heard, all right, Shemaita Yakah. I have heard you, behold, I have blessed him. So Ishmael was blessed, and will be fruitful him, and will multiply him exceedingly, greatly. 2 and 10 princes, which means 12, he shall beget, and I will make him a nation great. So now if Ishmael want to act right and say, you know what? I'm going to follow the way that my father Abraham followed, and I'm going to submit to my younger brother Isaac, and I'm going to submit to my nephew Israel, and the commandments that was given to my people that came from my father Abraham. What problem would the Most High have with Ishmael if he did that? All right. But, verse 21, but my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom shall bear to you Sarah at time this in the year next. So he said, Ishmael, he gonna have a lot of people. It's gonna be a physical thing with him, but the covenant of the inheritance and the leadership and the power and his blessing, Isaac is gonna be the one to control that. All right, verse 22. And he finished talking with him and went up Alahayim from Abaraham. So Yahweh Alahayim finished and dipped out. So took Abraham Yashemai Allah Ishmael, his son, and he and to it toward all. So he took all who were born in his house, and all who were bought with money. All right. So notice what he said. He said, and all who were born in his house, and all who were bought with money. Okay. So everybody that's a part of his household, every male among the men in the house of Abraham, and he circumcised the flesh of the foreskin in the very day, this as had said to him Alahayim. So the same day Yahweh said, circumcise the males in your house, he circumcised everybody, which was a very high level spiritual move. That's full trust in Yahweh, because what something should happen during the time that the men are recovering from having their foreskin cut off. Remember, that's how Shechem was attacked by Simeon, the Dominicans, and Levi, the Haitians. They were attacked because the men got circumcised and they were sore, so they couldn't fight. So now Abraham said, man, we're going to be sore. But he's doing what the Most High said to everybody. That's more than 300 men that got circumcised. All right, so that left the defenses down. That left them vulnerable, but he's fully trusting in Yahweh to protect him. And that faith goes into Israel. The Most High told us in the Torah that whenever you have festivals and feasts and holy days, and you have to leave your country, leave your land, I'm going to protect your land. Nobody's going to be able to come in and steal anything. So Abraham is circumcising everybody, all right, in his whole household. Verse 25. 24. And Abraham was a son of 99 years when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. So it says Bahamalwa. All right, circumcised in his foreskin. Okay, Elath. All right. And Ishmael, his son, was a son of. This word ban, even though they say old, it actually means son of. Was a son of, or was old 3 and 10 years when he was circumcised. So he was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. So Bashar Elath. Bashar Elath. Now we have to circumcise the flesh, and then we also have to circumcise our hearts. Circumcise the foreskin of our hearts according to Torah. The Torah tells us we have to circumcise the foreskin of our heart, not just of our flesh. All right, verse 26. In that very day, by Itizam, all right. It's probably like same day. All right, in that very day, this was circumcised Abraham wa Yashmi Allah and Ishmael Banwa, his son, and all the men of his house born in the house or bought with money from a son of a foreigner were circumcised with him. So everybody got circumcised in his household that was born, that was bought from somebody else or an alien or different nation. All right, so that's the Torah portion number 6 and number 7. Thank you for joining this reading of the law. Shema Yasharallah, Yahweh Alahayanawa, Yahweh Akkad, Wa Hapta At Yahweh Alahayaka, Bakal Lababka, Wa Bakal Napashka, Wa Bakal Ma'adka. Hail Israel, Yahweh our power, Yahweh is one. You shall love Yahweh your power with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. So the circumcision is something very, very, Most High went into a whole long conversation with Abraham about the circumcision. It's very important to get circumcised. We get that covenant. Ishmael doesn't get that covenant. Yasharallah gets it. Everybody gotta come through us, and we go through to the Father. Okay, because we got kings and the priests. Okay, you can't deal with the kingdom without dealing with the kings and the priests. All right. So that's it for this Aliyah 6 and 7. All right, may Yahweh bless you and be with you in righteousness. Hallelujah. Thank you, Yahweh, for giving us your laws and your words and your commandments, and for giving us your son, Yahweh Shai, to die for our sins. Please bless us and protect us. Forgive us and our fathers for our sins, iniquities, and transgressions. Show us your way. Show us how to love you and worship you and obey you in spirit and in truth. Keep us on the path of righteousness. Keep us and protect us from all temptations and evil. In the name of your son, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, Hallelujah, 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 Tawadatam Yad, Amen. Shalom Alaikum, Yasharallah. In closing, the blacks, Hispanics, and Indians in North, Central, South America, and the Caribbean are the 12 tribes of Israel. Yahweh Shai HaMashiach is the so-called black man. The Most High power, the Most High God, Yahweh, is the so-called black man. The angels, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, all the angels of heaven, according to what we see in the scriptures, are described as being so-called black beings and entity. We have to return to Yahweh, his laws, commandments, and statutes. We have to return to the Torah, which are the commandments found inside the books of Moses. And we also have to return to, primarily, Yahawashi HaMashiach, the black man that died for our sins to be the sacrifice so that we would have eternal life. So those are the things we have to do. This is your brother, Parashah Yashar Allah, elder and judge within Yashar Allah, Flanya Yashar Allah, and the elder of the government of Israel, which is a elder of the government of Israel, Mashara Yashar Allah, trying to bring the whole Mashara Yashar Allah, trying to bring the whole nation back together under the Torah and under Yahawashi. All right, so the water for all your time. Appreciate you. Love you in the name of Yahweh. Bashem HaMashiach Yahawashi. Shalom Lekam. Peace be unto you all.